Okay, so wait, 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 what? Okay, so there was. Let me get this straight. There was a ban list after the Duelist Cup that started on like September 8th. And now, September 30th, another one. Okay, so while the TCG players were all complaining, oh my god, they haven't released our ban list, Master Duel got two in the span of a freaking month. So suddenly these guys went all League of Legends, and I guess I have to talk about it now. Um, I've been sick the last couple of weeks, so, you know, better now than never. So we're going to run through this real quick. Okay. Obviously, the hugest bomb is Halkifibrax will be banned, and that's going to be most of the talking points of what I'm going to be showing you guys. Spellbook of Judgment, back to 1. That's right, the card that destroyed the 2013, I think it was towards the end of the year, format, along with Dragon Rulers. That's right, Spellbook of Judgment. Jogan is legal in Master Duel. So, maybe a thing. Adventurers getting hit again. This is what they did to them in OCG in April 2020, in the April 2022 ban list. I'll have a timeline in a second so you guys can like compare and contrast to TCG and OCG. But yeah, this happened in the April 2022 ban list. Enchantress down to 1. Rivalry of Warlords and Gozen match. The old Eldritch Floodgates. They get 1 off each. Raigeki up to 2. In the OCG, it's up to 3. Not sure it's TCG status, but I do know it's, decently common side deck at 3 in the OCG, since it's pretty good against Sprite. Trishula up to 2. Whatever, man. That's yesterday's news. Same for Zen Mighty. Like, no. ABC Dragon Buster to 2. Meh. What's this card? I don't even actually know what it is. Trickstar Light Stage. Nobody cares. Red Reboot to 2. Interesting. I mean, it's okay. So as a baseline, I did think about Master Duel going forward. Like, what are they going to do so that the game doesn't just feel like playing OCG and TCG formats of the past? And I don't know. Personally, I was hoping, like, in the same way that TCG and OCG have, like, exclusive cards or cards that get released in, like, different expansions or, like, rearranged within, like, the timeline of releases. I was expecting something like that, but apparently they just want the ban list to be the thing that really differentiates Master Duel from its physical counterparts. Not entirely sure how I feel about that, because I don't know. Like, this, I will go ahead and say, is not a good start. Like, it just kind of looks all over the place. Like Pankratops, it's kind of yesterday's news, since he can't, like, one of the main reasons they stopped using him in OCG was that he didn't really swing over Griffin Rider or Mirror Jade, which are obviously huge in the format right now. Him being an inherent summon, there are situations that he bails you out of without actually using the effect, but yeah, this is kind of meh. Quick Fix to 2, I like me some Spiral. I could see myself enjoying Quick Fix getting a little more air to breathe. Like the deck is still like super vulnerable to to Maxi and Nabin disruptions like that. So we'll see. Double Iris Magician, whatever. Orcus Harpor, like it's another like like power crept outdated stuff. Beginning of the end, same thing. Was it 2 now to 3? Harmonizing Magician. Whatever, man. Whatever, man. So let's look at it as a whole before I start getting into the real details of what I wanted to talk about. Okay, so as a whole, it seems like the things that they're letting go are mostly completely uneventful. Like Raigeki to 2, interesting. Interesting because it, people can play around Lightning Storm by, putting things in defense or whatever. Not an option versus Raigeki, and you're going to need things that resist destruction, like, Borland Dragon off the top of my head. Things like Borland Dragon, Thunder Dragon, Colossus, like specific, very niche rarities that aren't too common in the metagame. So I can see it against Branded Despia. It could be interesting because you kind of like even though they do have a lot of recursion and everything, it does kind of like disrupt the natural flow that they'd like to follow. Like they don't want you to like clear their board because Branded and Red doesn't really like play around that, since it like the whole fusion is going to resolve before Raigeki does. But yeah, most of the things that they're like letting more copies go through, not a big deal. Like Red Reboot, I can see that as a nod to like, like as well as Gozen and Rivalry to 2. It's kind of like, Eldritch we're kind of done with Eldritch. Like I'm pretty sure everybody at this point is done with Eldritch. And like Branded Despia actually was the deck that sort of like started phasing Eldritch out a lot, and like the main reason that the deck really started disappearing, at least as far as the OCG. Okay, but now that we've seen this, I'm gonna go ahead and mention that this Halki Fibrex ban at this specific stage in Master Duel's development is a huge mistake. Yeah, I said it. I'm going to go ahead and admit that, yes, I do very much enjoy combo decks. I like that they're the decks with the highest amount of options and therefore the highest amount of like possibilities, and therefore the decks with that tend to have the highest skill ceilings, which is something that personally Master Duel players don't really care for. Like Master Duel players, like a lot of minimalists out there, a lot of lazy dudes that just want like 2-card combos that summon like 1 or 2 boss monsters, and like, yeah, I want to win, and the rest of the deck is hand traps. So. But, point being, this is a mistake. I strongly feel that this is a mistake at this specific point in Master Duel, like this specific format, like during what in OCG was the Branded Despia versus Adventurer Tenyi metagame, and like you just completely just blew out the main contender for Branded Despia. So, oh my god, it's just like, like, I don't know, it seems like so tone deaf and carbon copy paste. Like, this is not the time for it. Like, yes, it is currently banned in the OCG, but let's take a look at this timeline that I prepared for you guys, like a little visual aid so that you guys can see. So you see the OCG and TCG releases for booster packs, at least the ones that are relevant for this discussion. And yeah, like you can see there, so there's a date for the Halki-Fibrax ban in the OCG, and in the TCG they actually preferred to ban Auroradon instead. Okay, so just to put things into context, Master Duel, as far as releases, is here near the start at Battle of Chaos. We're either a third or halfway through Battle of Chaos, like just scraping the surface a little bit. And so yeah, Battle of Chaos is basically where Master Duel is right now. So Dimension Force is where they decided to, like, a couple of days before the release of Dimension Force, which, let me jog my memory, I'm pretty sure Dimension Force is where they release Sprite and Tearlaments. Dimension Force, let's see. Okay, no. Dimension Force is where they complement Exo Sister. Punks finally get Deer Note. Dinomorphic gets Rex Term. And they release Therians. So yeah, and then I'm going to assume that Power of the Elements is the release of Tearlaments. Yep. Vernislift, Sprite, and Tearlaments. So yeah, that's a little bit of context. So basically, Battle of Chaos is where we are now. Dimension Force is kind of filler if you want to look at it that way. A couple of archetypes do get like completed, but they're not like the main metagame archetypes. Power of the Elements is like the real division in the timeline. Like Battle of Chaos and Dimension Force is Brenda Despia Adventure 10E meta, and Power of the Elements and Darkwing Blast are just full on transitioning into Sprite and Tearlaments that are like the follow up. Don't worry too much about those, but yeah, you can see here. So like if we put this into Master Duel terms, so like we don't get like the same sort of release schedule that OCG and TCG have. Like it's usually like let's look at these releases. It's so January to April, so 3 months difference. 3 months difference. 3 months difference. So yeah, basically it's every 3 months the OCG gets a release. Same for the TCG, pretty much. But in Master Duel, we sort of get those broken down, and we get monthly releases. Monthly releases that are about a third of the size of a regular, like physical card game, like booster pack. So it sort of ends up being pretty similar in a way, because like instead of getting one booster every 3 months, we get a third of a booster every month. So technically the differences and the separations between each like full content release are basically the same. So if we're looking at it that way, like we're getting like our Halki-Fibrax ban is there. That would have been like as as if they would have banned Halki Firebrax, where the OCG banned it in July. So that's like basically, dude, that's 9 months ahead of schedule. Like, you banned Halki Firebrax 9 months ahead of schedule. And that is, like, dude, that is not okay, okay? You see the main contender for Branded Despia, which I will go ahead and say, like it's a strong deck and all, but it's so boring. It's so boring. It's so linear. It's so brain dead. Why would you want this to be the best deck in, like, the uncontested best deck in the game, while you're just ripping a huge part of the skill ceiling off of a lot of other decks that could contend with it? Like, I just don't see the point. Like, if we're going like full on tinfoil hat here, like, yeah, give me a second. I'm gonna pull out an emote ideal for the situation. Let me just look for it real quick. I'm not even sure if it's gonna show up on screen, but if not, I'll edit it in. But yeah, for the people on Twitch, get your people tinfoils out, guys, because yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and say that, like, contrary to what I believed at the start, I think Master Duel is not being designed with the intent of being competitive. Yeah, like, I really think that they would, like, they want people to play the game and everything, but it really does feel like they want Master Duel to be dumbed down for casual players. Like, they want it to be a gateway, much in the way that, you know, everybody memed about, for people who are new to the game, I recommend Duel Links, like an official, like, Konami employee saying that. So, like, it really feels like Master Duel is like a step above that in difficulty, but it's still being used as a gateway to sell their main product. Like, they want you to spend hundreds of dollars every 4 months on ecologically unsustainable amounts of shiny cardboard, because that's their main business. Like, that's their moneymaker. Master Duel, because of the monetization scheme that it has, like, it's not really something that's built for making Konami a lot of money. So in that case, like, why would they cater it to competitive players? If you want to be a competitive player, go, you know, dish out your hundreds on shiny cardboard. So yeah, now you can take your tinfoil. You can officially take your tinfoil hats off, but, like, just think about it. It just really feels like, especially with the way things are being balanced, like, Crossout Designator was another one that raised a lot of alarm bells for me too. Like, I really do feel that, you know, combo decks took the biggest hit from losing 2 Crossout Designators. That is something that's been done in the OCG. I'm aware of it. And, like, I gotta stop saying like so much. I saw it in my last video and I'm still doing it. But yeah. So, you know, lost my train of thought there. Like, Crossout Designator could be abused by decks that were 50% hand traps as well. You know, their combos would still be uninterrupted thanks to, you know, Crossout Designator being able to negate everything. Because some people really did go too, like, obsessively overboard with it. You always saw people going like, okay, so my lineup is 3 Ash, 3 Maxi, and then it's like 1 Valor, 1 Imperm, 1 Nibiru, 1 Ghost Ogre, and like 7 different cards in 1-ofs just because you wanted to cross them out. And, oh boy. Yeah, so cross-out designator probably bit the dust because of that more than hindering combo decks, but it is still kind of a tinfoil hat kind of moment. And I'm still going to stand by the fact that it's a mistake. Like, this completely throws the timeline just totally out of whack. The fact that Halki Fibrax specifically is like such a sweeping hit to a lot of the metagame, like, you know, combo decks getting their skill ceiling lowered, but also the fact that it, like, banning this card implicitly bans a lot of other things. Auroradon is basically banned. Like, if somebody finds a practical way of making that doesn't involve like 3-card combinations or decks that are completely off meta, you know, surprise me, but it really feels that Auroradon just gets implicitly banned by this as well. The power of the Rose Dragon engine, which, you know, in OCG has taken a couple of hits as well. I'm pretty sure Red Rose Dragon is at 1 right now in OCG, but, you know, that's another engine that gets hit. And like, I'm just like, I keep looking at this timeline and it's like, oh my god, like, they've been imitating the OCG almost like to a T. By the way, when we mentioned Enchantress going to 1, that was in the April 2022 ban list, so that hit to Enchantress is also preemptive, because, like I said, Master Duel is still in Battle of Chaos era. They did that limit 1 to Enchantress until Power of the Elements, until the successor meta with Sprite and Tearlaments. So like what's the end game here if you're literally just moving everything up? Like, what's going to be left in the wake of all these meta warping bans and limitations? It just feels a lot like what they did with Duel Links, where they started doing the same thing. They were banning and limiting. Like, every single meta deck that came out would be banned within a couple of, you know, months after release, depending on obviously their timing related to the KC Cup. But it was that same thing where they kept subtracting at a rate that left a void that couldn't be filled by new releases. So basically every new ban list would bomb the game back to the Stone Age a little bit more. And there was just nothing filling that void. And I really feel like with these release schedules, it's going to be the same thing. Like, you're already... Like, it really seemed like they were just doing a carbon copy of, like, OCG bans. Like, they did the cross-out designator thing, but, like, now they're moving things ahead. And, like, I thought they were gonna use the OCG school of thought for banning and limiting things. Like, OCG is a metagame that has a higher threshold for acceptable power levels. Unlike the TCG, which is capitalist as hell, and it just, like the TCG's ban list never really feels like it's about game balance. It's never about game balance. It's always about making you dish out another couple hundreds every 4 months. Like it's literally and exclusively designed to make you buy more cards. So, I definitely appreciated that they went a little bit more OCG with it, which I like to call like Dota balancing. If you compare Dota and League of Legends, which are, two, similar enough to what like OCG and TCG are. OCG does Dota balance, where the basic philosophy is if everything is powerful, nothing is powerful. Like, they sort of establish checks and balances because like matchups and interactions are complex enough to where things naturally even out. And then you have the TCG doing League of Legends banning, where every 2 weeks is basically introducing a new metagame, which is why, like, I would imagine that's why like pro players usually like play an entire league or split segment on the same patch, because it's kind of ridiculous to be doing that so often. Like TCG feels the same way. But yeah, like what more can I add to this? This is clearly a mistake, because these adjustments are being made ahead of time. Like if you're gonna do the releases at basically the same intervals, then why are you making the bans in sooner intervals? Like it goes back to the point where it was about, them deciding that the ban list was going to be the way that they make Master Duel like different, like make it feel different from TCG and OCG with like these wacky 2-ofs that are suddenly allowed and all that. But oh man, like it just seems weird. Like not only because it's moving things up in a way that's not really like congruent. Like you're not really, like you're moving certain things up and the rest stays the same. And like not only that, like we already had a ban list this month. 2 ban lists in the same month. What the actual hell? And it's not even like decks that did well in the Duelist Cup, so like they literally did a Duelist Cup ban list, and then they did another ban list that completely ignored the Duelist Cup. Like, let's screw over some more people, or like I just really don't understand it, and it really feels like it's gonna make it's gonna fill the meta with a power vacuum that's not really going to be replaced. Like actually, I'm gonna go ahead and pull out another visual aid. I think the timeline has done enough for us, and I'm actually going to add another image. That I had. Okay, so if you guys remember, this was the tier list that we did here on stream. And yeah, let me just I'm pulling it out just so we can make it very clear what's really getting hit here. So the Galaxy Tomahawk, it represents Adventurer Tenyi. That deck is, yeah, with the Hauki Fibrax ban, you're basically banning Auroradon. The Galaxy Tomahawk combo is still there, but that combo can't OTK. Galaxy Tomahawk doesn't let your opponent take any damage after you resolve it. So it's an exclusively turn 1 combo. And like this deck just really feels like it's going to be erased. Straight up. Dragon Link, it has the like Dragon Link's optimal combo doesn't exist anymore. Like you go right in Griffin Rider, and then you like either with Boot Sector Launch or Wyverburst or Collapse Serpent, like you get some combination of 2 cards besides the token in the Griffin Rider to make Halki Fibrax. Halki Fibrax pulls out Red Rose Dragon. Red Rose Dragon makes Baron de Fleur. Pulls out the other one, you know, then you go into Shooting Riser. Then you do the little triangle for Pisty and Striker. And like you end up with basically like Baron Borland and like your choice of like, you know, Masquerena with Snow in the Graveyard. And Borreload Savage or Chaotic Ruler extenders. So that's not there anymore. Dragon Link probably getting knocked an entire tier down. ABC ABC's another Auroradon deck. It's probably getting knocked down to Rogue. DDD had a lot of cool combos with Halki Fibrax because you used it as an extender, but you left it on the field so that you could do shenanigans with Baron de Fleur. So Halki Fibrax would stay on the field, your Dagda would pull out Artifact Scythe, and your Baron de Fleur would pop the Scythe in your turn. And in your opponent's standby phase, you would do Baron's effect to tag out, pull out the Scythe. Then Halki Fibrax would go into Wonder Magician. And Wonder Magician plus Scythe would make Baron all over again. You know, that's a powerful combo, but that's not going to disappear because of Halki Fibrax. Like, Phantom Knights are still going to be plenty capable of doing Artifact Scythe and Artifact Lancia suppression, you know, in case you have to interact with something like Fluanda Rees. So, you know, that's a deck that's probably getting knocked to Rogue as well. Zombie Control, Quick Ballardrock is gone. Like, you see where I'm going with this. Like, Sky Striker, even though I denoted it as a deck that's carried by better cards, Sky Striker is going to lose its 2-card access code talker. Like, you can't go Halki Fibrax for Valor into Celine into access code. So that's gone. But just look at all the decks I've mentioned. Like 1, 2, 3, 4. Like 4 tiered decks that are getting just annihilated. That deck represented by Sangan, which was, you know, Sangan into Almarai for Crusade Arborea, and that's Halki Fibrax Auroradon, the usual deal. Adamancipator is losing out. Adamancipator, not the biggest deal because, you know, Halki Fibrax doesn't let the card activate its effect, so it's not as good in Adamancipator or pulling out the pulling out your main extenders. But like look at the power vacuum that this is generating. And I know that, like, you know, technically I put Branded Despia third and Drytron is still there. Dude, nobody plays Drytron. Drytron is an incredible deck. It's still, like, it never stopped being top tier, but the moment that Benton dropped to 1, like, its play rate just dropped off the face of the earth. Nobody cares about Drytron anymore, so even if it is powerful, nah, people just aren't going to play it. And, you know, so Dragon Link getting knocked off. Fluanda Rees, which is another deck that's completely basic and boring and linear and, like, a very low skill ceiling deck in general. Like, that's already 2 mid-range decks dominating a format whose power level is getting decreased. And like, you know, virtual world can be great and everything, but it's clunky. Prank Kids, you know, it's nice and all, but they're going to be losing an Enchantress. You know, Brandon Despia probably losing that Enchantress too, but Prank Kids that's so dependent on resolving a single card. You know, the first Prank Kid has to resolve or your deck isn't really a deck. You know, that's a deck that's also going down in power level spiral. You know, might go up a bit, but like it's not going to jump an entire tier. Like that's just not really something that you can expect to happen. So like just the power vacuum that this Halki-Fibrax ban is going to leave for what feels like too long of a period. Like, it feels like basically this is going to be the meta until Power of the Elements, which, you know, I'm actually going to bring that up one more time so that we can look at the timeline. So a reminder that we're either 1 or 2/3 out of Battle of Chaos. So if Power of the Elements released 6 months after Battle of Chaos, that means that we're going to have like 4 to 5 months of this meta. Of this stale ass mid-range deck dominated meta. And I don't know about you guys, but the thought of that is kind of horrifying. Thought of that is kind of horrifying because that, like, it literally means that the skill cap of the entire format is going to be so much lower, like, indefinitely. Like, what are they really releasing that makes up for that? Like, ABC Dragon Buster, like, that's a compliment to a board that's already good. Like, half the time the deck doesn't even make Buster. You know, with its Auroradon combos. So, obviously, that's not going to be there, and you know, ABC's probably going down an entire tier, and like I really just don't see it. Like I really just see the power level of the format going straight down. And I guess that's all I really have to say on the matter. Like that's... I think I've made my opinions pretty clear. Konami, this really feels like a mistake. You know, like keeping the release schedule, but not keeping like the specific moments in which things get banned. Like, it just doesn't make sense. Like, if they lined it up with the release of Power of the Elements, like, it would make sense. Like, I can understand why Halki-Fibrax as a card would be an obstacle to design space. Like, which is why cards get adjusted in the case of digital card games or just outright banned in the case of physical ones. Like, I can see how it's limiting. Like, every tuner that's level 3 or lower with a graveyard effect is suddenly like, dude, like, holy crap, we can't print that because Halki-Fibrax, but like time and place. Time and place is very, very important for these kinds of things. And like it's not going to be an obstacle to releases because you're releasing cards that already exist. So, like I really can't see another end game besides just Konami deciding that Master Duel needs to be dumbed down because it needs to be for a more casual fan base, because it's not being, it's not something that they can monetize, so they kind of want to drive competitive players towards the physical card game, which they can very aggressively monetize. Like, honestly, guys, tell me in the comments if you feel like this may be like me going too far down the rabbit hole. Like, is this a tinfoil hat kind of thing, or does it really feel like Master Duel is being dumbed down so that it drives competitive players towards the physical card game that makes Konami way more money? Share your be sure to share your opinions in the comments. Let me know. You guys want to get into more details on this discussion, I'll be obviously including the link to Discord so you guys can join and we can go into the finer details, not have to yell at each other in comments that we're going to be reading maybe once every 24 hours. And yeah, other than that, gonna move here. Camera out of the way, if I can find it. There it is. So you guys can see there, you can follow me on Twitter, Twitch, Instagram, and obviously the YouTube channel that this is being released on. And until next time.